Hello, welcome to Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. I am your host, Gary Howard. Thank you for joining me. If you're a return listener, thank you. If you're a new listener, let me tell you what I do. I'm a over-the-road truck driver, and I travel all 48 continental states. And during that time, I have to take a 10-hour break, and I stay at truck stops like I am today. And on this podcast, I'll talk about what people think about them, what's there to eat about. If you're traveling through here, is this a place you want to stop at? And if you do, what is there? So without further ado, where are we going today? We are going to Waco, Texas. Yes, yes, we're going to the Waco truck stop. Now, I have not been here in a while. It looks like a few things has changed since I've been there. But yeah, it has 112 reviews. It's a 3.8 rating. I like the place. It was always parking. At the time, it was free parking, but I'll get into that. It's off of I-35. It's like south of Waco. It has a different address in Waco, I do believe. It has a Hewitt address, but it's called Waco Truck Stop. I had a friend that lived, a friend Jose that lived right in town. That I used to visit all the time. That was there. We just stopped there. Plus, afterwards, once I became a truck driver, I started parking there. I mean, they never had a the time I was there, they never had a restaurant, so I kind of sucked because better make sure I had some food because they were very limited. Now there is a restaurant there, but it was never open. I've read a few places that says it was open, but according to Trucker's Path, it's a paid spot parking now. But some people say it is, and some people say don't. But it's I-35 exit 325, and it says it has 22 spots. This is no free all pay overnight, three showers. It does have Wi-Fi. The address is, like I said, 1001 Enterprise Boulevard in Hewitt, Texas. Now, behind the place, post a picture of this on my social media pages on Facebook and all that stuff so you can see what they do have an opening. So if you live in behind the neighborhood behind it, they do have access roads so cars could come. But overall, I like it. So what's there to eat around there? I think I've already said. Really nothing. I mean, it says, if I remember, it says it has an authentic Mexican restaurant there. Now, when I was there, it did look like it had set up for a Mexican restaurant, but like I said, I like to park there. A lot of times I'll stop somewhere else, get food and bring it in, but they have your regular convenience store stuff, microwavable stuff if you have a microwave, and cold sandwiches that you never know when was made. So let's talk about the truck stop. I told you what I thought about it at the time, but I want shit. It's been 6, 7 years because I worked with Prima like 5 years and they never went through this area. So it's been a minute since I've been there. So my experience was always good. Lack of food, but the staff was friendly. The bathrooms were always clean. The parking lot's clean, and it's right there, easy on and off of 35. First comment says, this is one of the guys everywhere says you have to pay, but because I see comments that say you have to pay to park. I've never paid. I just parked. This was 5 months ago. I just park and no one ever tells me anything. My favorite spot, especially because of the restaurant, is here. So there you go. Delicious. A Taste of Laos is the name of the restaurant. There you go. And he has pictures on Trucker's Path of the food. It does look yummy. And here's I park another 5-star review. That was a 5 star. I park here all the time for free. Never any hassles ever. Always place to park 24/7, 365. Quiet. I never shout here, so cannot comment. Gift shop, restaurant, it closed. They do have a good, decent gift shops if you want to buy some things. Here's the 1 stars. Let's go 1 star review. Now this was 7 months ago. It says 12:45 a.m. Trucker Path. Price 429. Store sign says 459. So no thanks. Bye. 8 months ago, this one guy says $10 to park. It's $10. Shut the star up. I guess supposed to be shut the fuck up, I guess. But here you go. I parked I parked my truck 4 p.m. and slept. 11 p.m. Guy knocked on my door, asked me for $10 for parking, which ain't shit. $10 paid it. $10 for parking. Let's read this first before I add my little insight. Let's start again. I parked my truck 4 p.m. and slept. 10 p.m. Guy knocked on my door and asked me $10 for parking. I asked where's a notice board for pay parking? He said, we don't have a sign, but this is pay parking. So I guess he could have argued it. Here's one I like. This one guy said, I fueled here and I went in the shower as well. After putting diesel, I moved to a parking spot and went into, trying to get the whole message. I went in to pay the store for my shower, and the guy at the counter comes out running, tells me my husband to wait for a moment, and he went and got police. Pretty much, the guy thought he was running off with the fuel, and I don't know why my phone has been acting stupid. I'm reading all this on the app. There's more to the text, but I can't read it. It's not allowing me to. But basically, the guy thought that he was running off without paying for the fuel, ran out and got him, and then finally, got everything situated. He went and took a shower. The shower was free because he had fueled up. But when him and his wife went in there and came back, he said that's two showers. He had to pay for the second shower, and then he left. He said he would have just not paid, but he said he was trying to get out of there. All right, let's look for one more review. Pay $12.50 for a shower, not even one towel. Ask for my money back. 1-star review. And I wish I could have makes me get the rest of that. I'm not just whatever. But here you go. Last review. 1-star review says, stay away. Store closed, but they will let you pay $10 for parking, but can't buy anything else or use restroom. Talk about greedy. So they have just some guy hanging out there in a car or something like that, waiting for trucks to pull up, and then charge them $10. Which, like I said, it's not that bad because most places charge, like the place I'm parking at right now is like 17. Some of them range from $25, so it could get more expensive. Okay, I stopped recording for a little bit and try to figure out why I was not able to read the whole message, but I figured it out. Back to the 1-star review, and I'm not going to edit the rest of that stuff up. I'm going to leave it as it is. Here's the message from @1. He said, I fueled here and I wanted to take a shower as well. After putting diesel, I moved to a parking spot and went into the store to pay and get shower. The guy at the counter comes out running, tells me and my husband to wait a moment, and goes to the police car that was parked outside. He thought we had left without paying. Police left. Asked my husband. My husband asked for one shower since we always use the same one, and he said it was free since we fueled 166 gallons. When we came out of the shower, the guy said that he had to pay for a shower since we were two people. He could have said that before we went in the shower. I tried to explain to him that when we drive in teams, we don't have to pay for extra shower anywhere. We paid for the shower since we just wanted to leave, and he said the next time he'll give us a free one. And in hashtag parentheses, I doubt it. Shower was filthy, and there was a lot of death roaches, not dead roaches, but death. You're like little fucking Grim Reaper roaches walking around. But that's what it says. Shower was filthy, and there was a lot of death roaches around. Also, if you fuel, you either get a free shower for one person or free parking. I don't think it's worth it. And there you go. There goes Waco truck stop. Now let's talk about the crime, murder or multiple murders. We're going to go up to Twin Peaks in Waco and talk about the motorcycle shootout, which I think it's torn down now. I know when I looked online about the Twin Peaks there in Waco, it says it was permanently closed and a Cajun place bought it, Louisiana Cajun. But then on Infamous America, where you can find this amazing app, if you like true crime and you want to see different locations you do travel, download the Infamous America app, and it gives you all the crimes or disasters, what happened next to you, give you Wikipedia links, news articles, podcasts, videos, and everything. That, or like I said this before, Crime Door. But on the Infamous America, they also have Street View. So on Street View, it shows an empty lot. But everything else is telling me that it's still there, but it's changed to, like I said, Louisiana Cajun food. But it looks like it's closed down from Google Earth. The store is closed, so no Cajun food there. And the only time I haven't been, since I haven't been there for a long time, and plus coming down, I didn't go near it. I stayed north of town, Well, that's the truck stop. I stayed at another truck stop, which I'm going to talk about later on, because the Koresh compound was closer to the truck stop I stayed at last time I was in Waco yesterday. Was it? Yeah, yesterday. So I'm going to save that truck stop for that Cowboys. So, without further ado, let's talk about our murder. Well, multiple murders. We're talking about, I already said this motorcycle shootout, the 2015 Waco shootout. Now, the last time I was actually at this restaurant when I was on honor guard when I was in the Army, we had stopped there on the way back. We did honor guard for a funeral in Henderson, Texas. And on the way back, they give us a gift, like a credit card where we could go out to eat, but we had like $50 limit. So this is where we went on the way back. And if you're not familiar what Twin Peaks is, if you know what Hooters is the same thing but way more revealing. Or it's kind of like Tilt a Kilt in a way. Well, just like that, where the women really show themselves off. And the anniversary's coming up here soon on 17th of May. So and this is all Wikipedia. I'm going to try to do this so I can get caught up. And once I do get caught up, so I can get on a regular basis, I'm going to let people be like, oh, you Wikipedia. Well, I'll tell you what, let me see your podcast that you do after driving all day and see how your research is. So, I mean, I do know as I'm driving, I do listen to a lot of videos about YouTube. Listen, I don't watch them. I listen to them, podcasts, stuff like that. So I learn about the case. I just don't open up Wikipedia and get after it. So let's talk about on May 17th, 2015, in Waco, Texas, United States, a shootout erupted at Twin Peaks restaurant where more than 200 persons, including members from motorcycle clubs that included the Banditos and Cossacks, and allies had gathered for a meeting about political rights for motorcyclists. Law enforcement, which included 18 members of the Waco Police and 4 state troopers, had gathered to monitor the restaurant and meeting from outside, according to the police. Returned fire after being shot at. Now, there was also said to be snipers on some of the other restaurants to monitor it, so they knew that something bad was going to happen. I think the restaurant called out for help, or they put on their social media page so everybody knew something. This is not a good sign. And 9 bikers were killed, 18 other wounded or injured, and 177 individuals was ultimately arrested and initially detained in connection with the shootout, most for alleged participating in organized crime. According to the New York Times, the response by prosecutors who widely criticized as brazen outreach. According to the Waco Tribune Herald, the shootout led to a 4-year prosecutorial fiasco that resulted in 0 convictions. Let's talk a little background of this. In 2014, the Texas Department of Public Safety listed the Bandidos Motorcycle Club as a Tier 2 threat, the same rating as the Crips, Bloods, and the Aryan Brotherhood. But it did not evaluate the Cossacks, Cossacks. I hope I don't get murdered for saying their name wrong. Come hunt me down. The assessment said that the Bandidos Motorcycle Club conducts their illegal activities as covertly as possible and avoids high-profile activities such as drive-by shootings that many street gangs tend to commit. According to Steve Cook, executive director of the Midwest Outlaw Motorcycle Gang Investigators Association, an element of the dispute had to do with the right of Texas outlaw motorcycle clubs to wear jackets decorated with distinctive patches, including a geographic bottom rocker about where they're from, reading Texas, indicating Texas as the territory of the club. The dominant Bandinos claim the right to approve all such jackets' bottom rocker patches. A police advocate released June affidavit released June 16th described the source of the conflict in similar terms following the shootout. Police spokesman Patrick Swanton said a turf war between the rival thugs, as he said, it was a factor of the deadly encounter. It allegedly started following the beating of a Cossack by Bandidos at a Toys for Tots event in Decatur, Texas, on December 6, 2014, and the killing of a gang member of the Ghost Riders MC the following week in Fort Worth. Skirmishes over the issue continued on March 22, 2015. A police affidavit described fighting between Bandidos and Cossacks going back to November 2013, including brawls resulted in injuries. Albany, Palo Pinto County, and Lorena, Texas. Some of these previously injured bikers were arrested in Waco after the shootout on May 17th. On May 1st, 2015, the Texas Department of Public Safety issued an advisory statement to police. The conflict may stem from Cossacks members refusing to pay Bandidos dues to operate in Texas, and for claiming Texas as their territory by wearing the Texas bottom rocker on their vests or cuts. The shootout erupted at a regular scheduled regional meeting on the Texas Confederation of Clubs Independent, the COCI, the statewide bikers club coalition, involving the political issues regarding the rights of motorcyclists based in Tyler, Texas. The coalition engages in a broad range of activities. For example, it was honored by the City Council of Jacksonville, Texas on May 14th for its involvement in Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. According to the police, most previous meetings of this group for the region had been held in Austin, Texas. COCI has 12 regions, and Waco is Region 1. The Bandidos, there goes my reefer turned on if you can hear that. Bandidos are leading members of the COCI, while the Cossacks are not. The police affidavit claims that the Bandidos wanted to have a show of force and make a statement that Waco was not a Cossack town. The police account states that in response, the Cossacks threatened that Waco was a Cossack town and nobody else could ride there, and they made the decision to take a stand and attend the meeting uninvited. Police were made aware of the meeting and had at least a dozen local officers plus state officers positioned nearby. The restaurant had agreed to host the meeting. Officers described the restaurant management as uncooperative when confronted with concerns about the meeting. Swanton said the Twin Peaks had been helpful in the. Let me say that again. Swanton said Twin Peaks had been unhelpful in helping police officers deal with the gangs in the past. All right, let's talk about the shootout. The conflict began sometime afternoon, according to Waco police, who had been monitoring motorcycle clubs activity at the Twin Peaks restaurant. Initial reports say that the original conflict began allegedly over a park. Now, there's a few reasons why they think it started, but here's one of them: over a park spot where someone had their foot ran over, and the fight escalated from there. At 12:24 p.m., gunfire erupted. Waco Police Sergeant W. Patrick Swanton declined to reveal details regarding how many of the dead and injured were shot by police, though he added it was possible that some of the victims had been shot by officers, stating they started shooting at officers and officers returned fire. In total, 9 bikers died and 18 others were hospitalized with injuries. Later, the number of injuries was amended to 20. Swanton also related that officers invoked the active shooters protocols, which are rules of engagement. Let me read that again. Swanton also related that officers invoked the active shooters protocols, which are rules of engagement newly designed and implemented in giving responding officers quicker permission to engage mass shooters with deadly force before a command or control structure in place. All of the facilities, as well as the majority of those injured during the melee, suffered gunshot wounds. The shootout was the deadliest and most high-profile event in the Waco area since the Waco siege, which I will be covering, and I'll be talking about the truck stop I actually stayed at last night at the Cowboy. But this one was the truck stop I covered was closer to this, so I decided to cover that. I've been to both, and I actually have a funny story about the Cowboy, and I'll say that when that episode comes around, when I talk about the Branch Davidians. So there you go. Be ready for that. So in a June 5th bail reduction hearing, prosecutors Michael Jarrett said videotape of the shooting shows Bandidos executing Cossacks and Cossacks executing Bandidos. Arguing in favor of the high bonds, Jarrett said the facts and circumstances of the case are extraordinary and so different from anything we've ever dealt with. We believe adequate bonds need to be in place to ensure the safety of the community. Although all the deaths were due to gunfire, other weapons seized from the conflict included chains, brass knuckles, knives, clubs, and batons. The knives included pocket knives, trench knives, and combat knives. A police source told CNN preliminary information indicated 4 of the bikers had been killed by police gunfire. But Swanton said the autopsies have been completed and the information may very likely be incorrect. According to 6 witnesses interviewed by the Associated Press, 3 of them whom were military veterans. The shootout, which I notice a lot of military, they go into the motorcycle world. I have a friend, Chuck Clow, that's what he does up in Iowa. He's a well, he was always in motorcycles, but now he's like a little group up there. I don't know if he belongs to what game, but yeah. And then documented semi-automatic weapons fires. So only one semi-automatic rifle was confiscated from a biker which was in a locked car. The police had semi-automatic weapons. Swan said that the bikers fired more shots than the police did, and that it would take months to obtain ballistic reports. I think they were just probably shooting crazy, where cops was taking direct shots. It gets all into the training. Security footage shows that the Twin Peaks franchise to Association Press showed one man started shooting at the patio, on the patio, at which time most bikers tried to seek safety inside. First in the bathroom, and then when that filled up, the kitchen. None of these camera angles shows the parking lot. On June 12th, the Waco Police Department announced 3 officers fired their .223 caliber rifles a total of 12 times. It was later determined that those rounds struck 4 of the bikers. 44 spent casings were recovered at the scene, according to the police. Vehicle forfeiture documents released June 16th included a detailed affidavit with a description of the police and prosecution's version of the events leading up to the shootout and what they say happened at the shootout itself. The affidavit, well, I can't say that word, affidavit says the Cossacks arrived over an hour before the scheduled 1 p.m. meeting and took over the patio area. If you go on videos, you'll see they have video of that area, which had been reserved for the COCI meeting. If I'm saying that right, it's like COC and not at, but like the S. I'm not for sure what it's called. It looks like an 8. I'm just going to call it COCI meeting. As a group of bandidos arrived, several Cossacks and their allies approached, and some pulled weapons, including pistols. Bandito members Reginald Weathers testified at a bond reduction hearing that he was part of the group of bandidos and the Cossacks members disrespected Dallas Bandidos President David Martinez immediately upon their arrival. Arguing about a park spot, when Weathers stepped forward to defend Martinez, he says he was punched in the face and then shot by a single bullet that passed through his arm and his chest. Since he was leaning over after being punched, he said he did not see who fired the shot. One bandito nearly hit a Cossack with his motorcycle. Another bandito punched a Cossack in the face. At that point, several banditos and Cossacks pulled out their weapons, including handguns, and shot and stabbed each other. A riot. And Martinez fired a .32 caliber pistol that he then placed in a parked car, according to the affidavit. Martinez was among those arrested and was since been released on bond. Police gunfire then followed right after that. Okay, let's go over the casualties. I'm just going to give name and age right now. I will give locations if you want to pay respect to these individuals. And then I know some people are like, well, who cares? But they're still people, rather what they choose, the path they chose, whatever. They're still individuals, and they did lose their life. So I'll give where they're buried at, final resting place at the end. But all men died of gunshot wounds, according to their initial police statement. 8 were Cossacks and 1 was a bandito. Talk about Daniel Raymond Boyett, he's Diesel. He was a Cossack, he was shot in the head. Wayne Lee Campbell, Sidetrack, he was 43, he was also a Cossack, shot in the head and torso. Richard Matthew Jordan, Chain, George III, he was shot in the head. He was 31. Richard Vincent Kirshner, Bear. No, the last name is there what they were called, their nickname. So his nickname was Bear. Those guys, Chain, Side Chick, whatnot. He was 47. He was shot in unspecific place. Jacob Lee Ryan, he was 39. He was shot in the neck. Jesus Delgado Rodriguez, he was 65, unaffiliated, but he was shot in the head and torso. Charles Wayne Russell, 46, he was a Cossack, he was shot in the chest. His name was Dog. Manuel Isaac Rodriguez, 40, Bandido, shot in unspecific places. Matthew Mark Smith, 27, Skempter, shot in the torso. According to his family, Jacob Lee Ryan, a father of two from Ranger, Texas, had joined the Cossacks 6 months prior and didn't own a gun. His girlfriend said, I cannot see Jake going there if he knew there was going to be trouble. Our kids were too important. Jesus Rodriguez's son said the Vietnam War Marine Corps veteran and father of 7 from New Brunswick, Texas, was in the wrong place at the wrong time and didn't carry weapons. He used to carry a pocket knife, but stopped after being told that he couldn't bring it into a convention. He was also associated of the Bandidos, but not a patched member. Rodriguez received a Navy Combination Medal for his service in Vietnam and a Purple Heart for wounds sustained during it. Daniel Boyd, the only Waco resident to die, owned and ran a trucking company with his third wife. Manuel Rodriguez was a married bandito, nicknamed Bandito Candyman. As of May 19th, 7 of the injured remain in the hospital in stable condition, according to attorney Seth Sutton, who negotiated the first bail. I just got mouth there. 4 of the arrested have complained to his office that they were jailed before bullet fragments could be removed from their bodies, so there's still wounds. So witness accounts say the witnesses William English, a former U.S. Marine and Iraq War veteran, reported that firing of small caliber rounds followed by a rapid succession of shots from the sounded to me like a assault rifle, he said. Of course, if you're a veteran, you know what they sound like. It's like a pop. Steve Cochran, a Navy veteran and son of South Club member, stated that he had heard one pistol shot. The rest of the shots were coming from assault rifles. Former U.S. Marine Michael Duvall of Fort Worth, a biker arrested and held for 3 weeks, said that a long amount of the rifle fire came from the police and that he thought the police were firing randomly into the crowd. The police investigation stated this. Spokesman Patrick Swanton said police recovered about 320 weapons from the crime scene. Swiss Army knives, pocket knives, handguns, and an AK-47 style rifle were among the weapons found. 192 people was initially arrested in connection with the shootout. Man, this place was packed, with 171 of those charges from participation in organized crime. They were booked at the McLennan County Jail per that inmate list. As of May 19th, 171 people were arrested under arrest. The case number was WPD-15-9146. Maybe if you want to look into it. Charged with engaging in organizational crimes activity. Of them, 124 were white males, 41 were Hispanic males, 3 were white females, 2 were black males, and 1 was a Native American female. 106 people were indicted by a grand jury in connection with the shootout. All suspects had their bond set at $1 million by the justice. Now that's crazy. $1 million by the Justice of the Peace, W.H. Peterson, who said it sent a strong message. We had 9 people killed in our community. These people just came in, and most of them were from out of town. Very few of them were from in town. On May 19th, 3 suspects were released after their bonds was mistakenly set for $20,000 at $20,000 at $50,000 and $50,000. McLennan County Judge Ralph Souther issued a warrant to have them rearrested and their bonds reset to now it's $2 million. All these, all three arranged to turn themselves in that day. Souther also ruled that no suspect's bonds can be reduced without his approval. Sounds like a real fucking dick, don't he? Judge Matt Johnson made a similar ruling that the first reduction hearing was in June in Souther's court, where 59-year-old Caldwell mechanic Jimmy Don Smith was represented by Bryan lawyer Don Jones. Police officers reported receiving several threats after the shooting, which they are investigating. A former Bandito leader and several experts on outlaw motorcycle clubs questioned whether the reported threats against police were genuine. On May 22nd, 50-year-old factory worker and Bandito Jeff Betty, B-A-T-T-E-Y, Betty, posted bail. The cash amount wasn't disclosed, but typically 10% in Texas is $100,000. Afterwards, his lawyer and the prosecutors argued over whether this meant he could leave jail. He ultimately did, and of course, he paid bail. After the district attorney and the two district judges negotiated special restrictions for him and any future bailee from that case, including ankle monitoring, surrendering all passports, abstention from it. He can't do no drugs or alcohol, no contact with the club members or potential victims of the witness. One other suspect was subsequently bailed out later that day. According to McLennan County Recovery Healthcare Corporation office manager Ronnie Marroquin, Marroquin, who attaches the ankle monitors. One of the arrests, Martin Lewis, is a retired veteran detective of. Let me start again. One of the arrests, Martin Lewis, is a retired veteran detective of 32 years from the San Antonio Police Department. At the time, he was a school bus driver. He was, fired by the school district. As of May 24th, 75 suspects had requested a public defender qualified to work first-degree felony charges, of which McLennan County has 29, to make up the rest. Judge Matt Johnson has for the first time called in defenders from nearby counties, including Dallas, Bell, Williamson, Travis, Hill, Carroll, Limestone, and Johnson. The district had 26 prosecutors to split the caseload among and can enlist others from the county, state, and federal levels if needed. One of the arrests, San Antonio's Kenneth Carlisle, had just pulled into the parking lot when he was arrested. Imagine that, in his wife's car and charged with engaging in organized crime. According to his wife, she said he wasn't wearing any sort of biker clothes. He was just the wrong place at the wrong time. She called the ordeal of running her two-child household. Let me start again. She called the ordeal of running her two-child household while working with lawyers to negotiate a lower bond for her husband. She was only been allowed to visit by phone. The worst nightmare of my life, she said. And she was aware of the 8 other arrests and similar stories. So the last arrest, the arrested biker to be released from jail was Marcus Pilkington, Pilkington, on October 30th, after 5 months after the shooting. No one had yet been charged with the murders of any additional charges. So the aftermath, Waco Police Sergeant Patrick Swanton said that the management of Waco Twin Peaks had been unhelpful in dealing with the bikers in the past. On May 18th, Twin Peaks announced it had canceled the Waco restaurants franchise because the management there chose to ignore the warnings and advice from both the police and our community. It did not uphold the high security standards we have in place to ensure everyone is safe in the restaurant. Later that day, Twin Peaks spokesman Megan Heck announced that the Waco location had been reopened. She said discussions are on the way for future of another Twin Peaks in Harker Heights, owned by the same owner, relative new franchise. Peak Static Beverages LLC. Let me say that again. Peak Static Beverages LLC. That company released a statement denying it was advised by police or Twin Peaks against holding the event and contended that the violence began in the parking lot rather than in the building. I heard some places said it started in the bathroom, parking lot, in the building, different places. Expressed disappointment in Twin Peaks' decision to terminate the franchise before any facts were known and pledged to assist the ongoing investigation. Now, there's video footage on YouTube. Maybe I'll see if I can find them, put them on the notes so you can check out yourself. Owners of the nearby Don Carlos Mexican restaurant filed suit against Peak Static Beverages. I guess that's who owns Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks, okay, is two different companies. In Twin Peaks on May 20th, alleging financial damages occurring when its uninvolved restaurant was labeled a crime scene and forced to close until May 21st. I bet you there's a bullet holes in there too. As a result of gross negligence, why can't I speak? By Twin Peaks. I mean, it's my age, I'm getting old and see now. The access to franchise for creating an extreme degree of risk considering the probability of magnitude of the potential harm to others by hosting the event. Let me read that again. Owners of the nearby Don Carlos Mexican restaurant filed suit against Pinstatic Beverages and Twin Peaks on May 21st, alleging financial damages incurring when the uninvolved restaurant was labeled a crime scene and forced to close until May 21st. I bet you they lost a lot of money as the result of gross negligence, there I go again, by Twin Peaks. It accuses the franchise of creating an extreme degree of risk considering the probability and magnitude of the potential harm to others by hosting the event. And the franchisor of regular encouraging, let's see, by hosting the event. Come on. And the francier of regular uncommon franchises host such events. So no more bike rallies like that at restaurants. About 135 motorcycles and 80 cars and pickup trucks from the crime scene were seized through civil fortune laws and may be auctioned off by the county regardless of whether or not their owners were convicted. Well, that sounds fucked up. This whole situation is just, yeah. Juan Garcia, engineer of the city of Austin since 2009 and one of the men mistakenly released on less than bail, was placed on paid administrative leave pending the legal outcoming of the city's own internal review. Garcia and three other bikers filed a lawsuit for damage alleging wrongful arrest against Twin Peaks, the city of Waco, and McLean County. The suit seeks $1 billion in charges. So, criticism of the Waco police. On May 29th, Clinton Broken, attorney with Broden and Mickelson, represented arrested bikers Matthew Allen Clendenin, Clendennen, filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Federal District Court claiming that his client was innocent of all charges and was held on a fill in the name warrant without eventual probable cause. So they just made a one blanket warrant and just put the name in. The lawsuit was filed against the city of Waco, Texas, and McLean County as defendants, and also one named and 20 unnamed police officers, as well as the McLean County District Attorney, Abelino Rena, and 5 unnamed district attorneys. Clem, not called Clem, is a graduate of Baylor University, a small business owner, and was no previous criminal record. He was bailed after posting a $100,000 bond. He is a member of the Simpleters motorcycle game. CSCIMAITARS. So the Skimiters motorcycle game. 2.5 weeks after the shootout, over 140 of these arrests were still being held on a $1 million bond bail. Law school professor and civil rights lawyer David Carey's characters that the attitude of police as let's arrest them all and sort them out later, comparing the arrests to the Red Scare mass arrests of socialists and communists after World War I and the period of McCarthyism in the early 1950s, according to Carey's, Kairys. Such arrests may have a chilling effect on freedom of association and freedom of speech. Waco police tried to prevent the release of standard information about the shootout, particularly pertaining to arresting officers. The city attorney of Waco requested that the Attorney General of Texas give the power to withhold the public records from the news media. Bill Ashire, attorney in Austin, Texas, criticized Waco's officials for violating bedrock open government law. By early June, criticism of lack of adequate information about the incident was increasing in the national news media. Connor Fridgedoff, a reporter of the Atlantic, described the incarceration of 160 people on $1 million bonds as a self-evidently excessive. Yeah, definitely $1 million. It pointed out that the information lacking included how many of the dead bikers were shot by police officers, how many cops fired their weapons, and how many total rounds they discharged. A reporter from the Houston Press described the response of Waco authorities as a textbook example of how not to handle emergency situations. It seems like they will learn from the other Waco standoff. In response to 37 complaints of inadequate health care and edible food, degrading treatment, and sanitation issues in the jail, the Texas Commission of Jail Standards conducted a surprise inspection on June 4th. The inspector found all conditions met the minimum state standards. Houston lawyer Paul Looney, representing two men who did not file complaints, said both lost almost 20 pounds by avoiding food that had bugs on it and otherwise appeared unsafe. On June 7th, over 500 bikers gathered outside the McLean County Courthouse to protest the mass incarceration. With about 124 bikers remaining in jail at the time, one prosecutor, Duck Green, commented, "Only an idiot will believe that 176 hardcore criminals all showed up at a restaurant to start a big fight with the cops, and they all deserve $1 million bonds." Yeah, that's the thing that was crazy about this case was that the police were everywhere. They were not being they were not being secretive about their location there, and these guys just still open fire. They gave zero fucks. So back to the story, on June 10th, the New York Times observed that bond reduction hearings are routine proceedings that are typically held within 7 to 10 days of the arrest, which is far beyond that. Paul Looney, attorney of the three of the defendants, said, "It's the most un-American activity I've seen in American soil." On June 22nd, Stephen Stubbs, an attorney for the Bandidos, issued a statement accusing the police of spreading misinformation and demanding the immediate release of all the videos of the shootout as well as the autopsy reports. Stubbs said the violence was senseless, completely unnecessary, and wrong. He stated that the weapons in possession of the Bandidos were legally owned and carried, and the Bandidos were not aggressors, did not start the altercation, did not strike first, were not the first to pull the weapons, and were not the first to use weapons. Stubbs added that an involvement in the altercation by members of the Bandidos was in self-defense. Guess the Cossacks started it. Also on June 22nd, attorneys of Matt Clenenden, a member of the Sycamores, what am I going to say? Sky Mitters. I'll spell this again. SCIMITARS. Motorcycle Club served Twin Peaks with a subpoena to produce their copy of the surveillance video of the events. The city of Waco moved to squash the subpoena. However, according to his attorney, the city didn't have standings to do so, and only Twin Peaks, the recipient of the subpoena, could move to squash it. On June 30th, a Waco State District Judge denied the city's motion to squash, requiring Twin Peaks to turn over the footage, but he barred the release of the video to the public, which it did get out. At the request of the prosecutors, the judge also placed a gag order on the case, prohibiting police, attorneys, and witnesses from discussing the case publicly. And the attorney filed an emergency appeal on the gag order next day. On September 14th, 2016, 3 police officers were cleared of wrongdoing in the shootout by a grand jury. A McLennan County grand jury reviewed the case and chose not to charge Waco officers Andy O'Neill and Michael Butcher Heath, and Jackson. Let's say them names again. Officers Andy O'Neill, Michael Butcher, and Heath Jackson. So the indictments on November 10th, 2015, a Waco grand jury indicted 106 people, felony charges of engaging in organized criminal activity. Although a gag order was only imposed for attorneys involving the Clementon case, District Attorney Abel Rena was openly discussing the indictments after the grand jury actions. 5 defense attorneys representing arrested bikers issued statements criticizing the cookie cutter nature of the indictment, and Renee's press conference. The Houston Chronicle pointed out 6 months had passed since the shootings, and the law enforcement had not yet said who specifically was responsible for the shooting or whether any of those killed of the wounds had been hit by police officers. So, in closing, I still got one more, the trial, lack of convictions, and dismissal of charges. The only one of the arrested bikers to be tried was Jake Cazarel, Cariza, president of the Dallas chapter of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. His trial ended in the mistrial on November 10th, 2017. As of February 28, 2018, 58 of the 154 bikers indicted had their cases either dismissed or not prosecuted. In March 2018, charges against Cody Ledbetter, a member of the Cossack Motorcycle Club, were dismissed. The McLean County District Attorney had distributed sexual explicit pictures of Ledbetter and his wife, which had been on Ledbetter's cell phone, to attorneys for 170 defendants. Two attorneys for the 770 defendants. On March 28, 2018, a judge ordered the district attorney to stop distributing the photos, which I don't know what had anything to do with the case, but for some reason, and that's what happened to him. April 27, 2018, a special prosecutor sought to dismiss all charges against defendant Matthew Clendenin, citing lack of evidence during a conference regarding the risks of the defendants. During a conference regarding the rest of the defendants. The district attorney officer said that they would likely dismiss most of the other cases, save about 30. As of January 2019, about 26 of the original 155 bikers remain indicted. There you go. Let's start again. As of January, getting kind of hot in this truck. I had to turn off the AC because you'll be hearing it rumble. As of January 2019, about 26 of the original 155 bikers remain indicted. Their trials were postponed for several months to allow new District Attorney Barry Johnson time to review them and decide how to proceed. On April 2nd, 2019, all the remaining criminal cases were dismissed, so no one got charged. Well, nobody was convicted of anything. In 2019, over 130 civil rights lawsuits by the bikers were pending against the former DA, the former police chief, City of Waco, McLennan County, and local police officers involved in the mass attack. So what do you all think happened? What started this whole bike, shootout? Was it the Bandidos? Was it Cossacks? Did it start in the bathroom, or did it start out in the parking lot? But either way, many people got injured, and 9 people lost their lives. And let's talk about them 9 people by name. And if you do want to pay your respect to these individuals, because they are still victims of this, regardless of their situation. So here we go with the list of individuals. We'll start off with Daniel. I do apologize if I'm saying these names wrong. Daniel Raymond Boyett. They call him Danny or Diesel. He was born May 1st, 1971 in Waco, Texas. Now all the deaths are the same. I'll give you the age, but they're all May 17, 2015 in Waco, of course. He was 44. His burial details are unknown, specifically private, so we don't know where he's at. All these are on Find a Grave if you want to know. Wayne Lee Campbell, they call him Sidekick. He was, oh, by the way, I forgot, Daniel was 44. Wayne Lee Campbell, he was born August 17, 1971 in Arlington, Texas. He was 43 years old. He is buried at Calvary Hill Cemetery and Mausoleum in Dallas, Texas. Now, the memorial ID is 14677-403 if you'd like to go pay your respects to him. Third one is Richard Vincent Kushner Jr. They call him Rick. He was born March 23rd, 1968. He was 47 years old. His burial details are unknown as well. Now on to Matthew Mark Smith. He was born July 31st, 1987. He was the youngest one at 27 years old. He's buried in Blue Bonnet Hills Memorial Park in Colleyville, Texas. And his memorial ID is 14677-4247. Charles Wayne Russell, called him Dog. He was born June 3rd, 1966 in Tyler, Texas. He was 48 years old. His burial details are unknown. Jacob Lee Ryan. He was born December 14th, 1975 in Ranger, Texas. His burial details are unknown as well. He was 39. A lot of unknown. Maybe they want to keep it private. Now here's the Marine, Jesus Delgado Rodriguez. They called him Mohawk. His burial details are still unknown. He was born in Billings, Montana in February 27th, on my daughter's birthday, February 27th, 1950. Well, my daughter was born in 2002. Danny Howard, Dannie. Now, let's talk about Richard Matthew Jordan. He called him his name was Richie. He was born September 9th, 1983 in Pasadena, Texas, or Stinkadena. He was 31. Details unknown as well. Manuel Isaac Candyman Rodriguez, or Candyman they call him. He was born October 1st, 1974 in Allen, Texas. And unknown as well. So, let me see. There you have it. There's the 9 victims. Like I said, if you feel like paying respect to the few that do have, sites. Now, I'm not saying it just find a grave. They don't have no information on them. They might be. I did with one of the cases that I plan on doing one day. Natasha, actually, it says she was cremated, but they do have a memorial up for her. But if you did like this episode, me telling of it, hopefully you did. I babbled through it. Seems like I'm getting worse. More practice. Well, I guess I need more practice. I guess when I was recording, the more I did, the better I got. And this is just, ugh. But I'm going to put it out there. And if you did like it, thank you so much. Always rate and review wherever you listen to your podcast, where you listen to me at on YouTube. I also have that channel there. I'm trying to grow so I could go live on there. Also, you could join my Facebook group, Truck Stop Murder and True Crime, and my Twitter at Truck Stop Murder as well by the same name. No, Twitter is Truck Murder. Also, on August 25th to August 27th in Austin, we have the True Crime Podcast, True Crime and Paranormal Festival. And I will be doing a live show there. Tickets are still on sale, so I'll love to see you there. There's like over almost 50 podcasts there. I'll put a link to the show notes. But yeah, if you do want maybe get better equipment, you want to support me on Patreon at Truck Stop Murder, or if you just want to email me or you want to Gmail me something, it's truckstopmurder@gmail.com. So enough of the madness and babbling and gibbering. I'm out of here. And like I always say, can't fix stupid, but you can sure numb it with a 2x4. I'm out of here.
Huh?